Welcome back to the show. I am really excited for this next one. You guys, both parents to children with disabilities, Amy and Allison, were ecstatic for their children to join the throes of elementary school with their friends, but were disappointed when the experience wasn't exactly what they had imagined. We're going to learn a little bit about what they saw, or perhaps what they didn't see, and how they are now bringing about awareness, connection, and inclusion for all students. Ladies, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having
We
us.
so appreciate it. So, Amy, I want to know just a little bit about your story. And like I said, you saw some things in school, you were excited for your kids to go, and kind of disappointed. Tell me about that.
Well, you know, when I think back to going to meet the teacher for elementary school, which a lot of us do, and we're there that night and you're looking for the sign outside your child's classroom that says the teacher's name, but what I found is it didn't say Caleb's teacher's name. It actually said ID moderate, which means intellectually disabled at a moderate level. And so I realized that Caleb and his classmates were defined by their disability and not by their names. I also watched other students in the hall. When we would walk down the hall, they would sometimes stare at them, sometimes look away, and really not know how to react. And so at that moment I realized that there was a lot of fear and stigma associated with disability, and that we needed education about disability, and we needed models for how to interact just like you and I are interacting, and opportunities for students
1000%
to interact.
And how did Caleb take that? Was he aware that things weren't normal in the school?
He probably wasn't as aware
Okay.
because he doesn't meet a stranger.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it takes a mother's love to just see something, kind of preemptively make that move. Wonderful. And I'd love to know a little bit more about how you came onto the scene. A little bit different story than Amy.
So when I had my daughter Haley, I did not have a lot of experience or education with disabilities. So I immediately dove into research. I listened to individuals with disabilities and tried to learn from their experience. However, when my son came to me and asked me about disability, I couldn't find resources. So I started to look for them. I realized I could find a lot of technical language, but not kid language. And so as a former educator, I was like, I'll just write my own resource. And that's where I became passionate about educating students about disability.
Well, and I think as parents, you know, to be looking for that and not finding it, you would feel so isolated, you would feel so alone. So to create Bridged, I mentioned the three pillars earlier, inclusion, right, community, and having those things. So tell me a little bit more about how that manifests in these kids' lives right now.
So those are the pillars, like you said, of our organization, that awareness, connection, and inclusion. And so everything we do, if we have, you know, those aha moments you have in the shower, if we have one of those moments, we run it through those pillars and we say, does this event, does this project, does this idea, does it increase awareness, connection, and inclusion of individuals with disabilities? And if the answer is yes, then that means we get to move forward with that project and help fill that gap in our community.
And Allison, I'm sure the schools, right along with you guys, kind of had that aha moment. What was that like, presenting that to such a big organization? I mean, that's kind of scary, right?
Yes, yeah. So one thing that we found super interesting was the fact that in South Carolina, and actually in most states in our country, disability history is not part of our social studies standards. You know, our students in schools learn about the civil rights movement because they learn about the value of people of color and how to combat racism. We learn about the Holocaust, to value people of different religions and to address anti-Semitism. But our students weren't learning about disability history. So our programs teach disability history so that those students can learn about the value of individuals with disabilities and that they belong in our communities. We love to say that our students not only learn history, but they're making history in our state because they're some of the first individuals in our state to learn that part of history.
Absolutely inspiring. And how has, you know, Caleb, for instance, how has he, you know, developed through the Bridge program?
Well, I mean, it's changed the culture of where our kids go to school.
Wow.
And I mean, that's been a huge change. And for teachers, we feel like we've given them some tools to have conversations about disability, to really, you know, give opportunities for students with and without disabilities to be interacting. And, you know, one of the things we talked about is, what is our hope as we go into this next 3 weeks of going back to school? What do we want for other parents of children with disabilities? And what we want is our curriculum to continue creating that change so then when they walk in and they're looking for that classroom, that it's not the name of their disability, it's the name of the student or the teacher that's in that classroom. And that when they walk through the doors, I say this all the time, no matter if your student has a disability or not, but don't you want when you walk through your school doors to know that your child is valuable, they're invited, and they can participate with their peers, and that's what we want for all students.
Wow. Having that confidence run through your veins first day of school, I mean, that is just nerve-wracking for anybody. So to have that across the board is beautiful. And like you said, it is kind of push time right before school, and there's an expo coming up that parents have to come to. Tell me about
We are
that.
so excited to host the Upstate's first annual Disability Resource Expo on August 25th at the Kroc Center. Attendees will be connected to local service providers, state disability agencies, valuable information and resources. So whether you're a parent with a new diagnosis with a child with a disability, you are an adult looking for employment options, you're a caregiver navigating the school system, you are a professional that supports people with disabilities, or you're just planning for the future, this event is for you.
Yeah, even for teachers. I
Yes,
mean, a great way
absolutely.
to kind of get accustomed to the new way of teaching everybody.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for coming on. I really hope that that expo is just very well attended for you guys, and good luck for the school year. I know everybody needs that. Yeah.
Yes.
Alrighty. And stepping out and being bold, you can join Amy and Allison advocating for kids and being a voice for so many others. For more details on their Disability Resource Expo, like she said, August 25th from 2 to 6 at 424 Westfield Street in Greenville. Free to attend with resources for those with disabilities.